And I'm very curious to do a
That's okay. I can sit there too. I don't care. Just move the signs. We're fine.
Wanted to hug.
Okay, well, you gotta settle for that.
Okay.
Warm sea.
All right, David, where'd you go? Come on. They're standing.
Who else? Yeah.
Oh, no, Elsie's back.
I mean, he went to the bathroom now, you know.
All right. The city council will reconvene into open session and take action regarding the matters which are the subjects of the above agenda item, closed executive session. Item 1, Beach Access Road B.
Okay, on that item, I'd like to make a motion that our committee will continue to work on the Beach Access Road B and explore other options.
Is there a second?
Motion to approve?
Okay, there's a first and a second. Any discussion? Brand, take the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item 2, the threaten of litigation by Hope Love and Brian Schwartz against the city regarding Whispering Sands neighborhood drainage. We'd just like to make the statement that the Whispering Sands area was already made attention to during the goals workshop, budget workshop review, and what's already being considered for future possible solutions. Okay, we're going to move on to item 8, which is items consideration. Item F, an ordinance is the first reading and approving zoning change request ZCR 22001057, changing property located at 5600 State Highway 361 zone from the Newport Planned Unit Development Zone to Commercial 2, as requested by Nueces County Water Control Improvement District Number 4, providing for the validity of said ordinance, repealing all prior ordinances in conflict herewithin, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You guys approved this last month. This is actually the ordinance affecting the zoning change. So you approved the change from that Newport PUD to the commercial for the water district. So the only thing different is now you have the actual written ordinance for your consideration. So we recommend approval.
I motion to approve?
Okay, second.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Brand, take the roll.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item G, ordinance first reading approving zoning change request ZCR 22001065, changing property located at 5200 State Highway 361 zone from Newport Planned Unit Development Zone to one particular harbor planned unit development as requested by Ocean Harbor Inc., providing for the validity of said ordinance, repealing all prior ordinances in conflict herewithin, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mayor. Pretty much the same narrative as before. This was approved last meeting. So what you have before you is the actual ordinance. In preparing for the agenda item, though, one thing caught our eye that we went back to the developer and asked for this meeting that we just wanted to make sure that the commercial aspect of this planned unit development, which, as you guys know, include elements of mixed use, commercial, mixed in with residential. We just wanted to make sure that that commercial element was consistent with the definition and purpose of the planned unit development, which was that any commercial mixed use elements was part of the planned unit development that served harmoniously with that, blended in, that it wasn't just a chunk cut off for commercial purposes. And so I think what he's passed out, and by that, and when you look at our earlier PUDs, and there haven't been many new PUDs, they've been amended, revised, but basically you've got the Newport that became Palmilla, Cinnamon Shore 1 and 2, and Sunflower, all done by the same land planner. And so when you looked at graphical representations of the houses and the buildings and the mixed use, we got to, we were just seeing the same thing. And we kind of got away from wanting that graphical. We wanted to see what that architectural look was, just to give us that comfort level. And again, it didn't prohibit some flexibility within the context of the planned unit development, but it gave you guys a chance to look and really see what we're talking about, that that it wasn't going to be that when we're talking about mixed use, that it wasn't going to be just some separate commercial entity cut off that really wasn't harmonious with the PUD, to keep using that term. So we just asked that for this meeting that he go back and actually show us what the intention for that piece, not so much the residential part that had already been kind of identified with mixed townhomes, different types of residential units, but that the commercial piece of that, that he kind of show us some of that architectural control and uses. And so that's the handout you had there. It doesn't change the recommendation for approval, because like I said, it was actually the PUD concept was approved at the last meeting. And what you have here is just the ordinance piece of that as before. But we did want to bring that to you and just show it to you. And
But at the second reading, if it goes to a second reading, then it would be included with the document.
we'll incorporate it
Okay,
in
all right.
and actually maybe add some uses, identify it more, but wanted to, we didn't feel that we just wanted a little bit more for you guys to look at. So second reading will actually incorporate it into the document a little bit. So we have both the project engineer, the developer. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to embellish on my rambling.
How about just a motion to approve? Thank you, though.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Fran, please take the roll.
Seaverson Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Trigger,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great. All right, thanks, Rick. Item H, resolution accepting a cash deposit in lieu of completed construction from Mustang Island Development 2, Inc., as authorized by the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 21 subdivisions, Section 21-101 securities, authorizing the city manager to sign said agreement and setting terms, conditions, fees, and effective date.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a provision in our codes that, well, let me digress. So most of the time when there's a development done and a plat's filed, that plat incorporates some infrastructure, water, utilities, roads, et cetera. And we require, unlike some other jurisdictions in the surrounding area, we require those features be complete before we record the plat. You approve it, subject to those roads and utilities and those types of features. But we have a provision in the codes that when there's some extenuating circumstances, that the council is allowed to accept a couple of things, either a security or a cash deposit in lieu of a completion. And that's at your discretion, how much is complete, how little is complete, in one of those two financial options. In this case, we have a request because of a box culvert to the tune of about $780,000 that the manufacturer of that culvert has indicated is just simply not available. It's part of a drainage feature that relates to an outfall that is part of the plat, it's part of, that's needed, is just not able to, can't be obtained, can't be installed right now, although it's on order. So quite simply, what the applicant is requesting is that that in lieu of that completion, to allow recording of the plat, not to allow subversion or elimination of this feature, because it is needed, but that for the recording of the plat, which does give them some ability to start selling lots and actually convey some title, that in return, they offer up a cash deposit, not a security, which is one of the options, but in this case, a cash deposit in an amount that's equal to the contract value of the completion of that feature plus 10% as a contingency amount. And that's what you have before you, is that request to allow the plat be recorded. They will deposit cash in that amount into our account that we have control over. If they were to walk, we don't see progress at the city manager's discretion. At some point in consultation with them, we can write the check and finish it. So we have control to ensure that will get done at the first available opportunity.
So
And that's quite simply the nature of the proposal.
So I've got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
One, obviously, construction costs keep going up. Is a 10% contingency enough? Because what if the box, the culvert company comes back and says, ooh, those culverts went up 20%.
Right.
Or, they get pushed, whatever, labor's going up.
Sure.
So that $700,000 no longer is, the $78,000 is not enough.
In this case, my understanding, and Daniel is here, my understanding is that there's already a contract for this feature.
Okay.
It's just, they've got a contract to purchase it, $780,000. And Daniel, just jump in if I'm incorrect. And so they have that contract. So the 10% is a pretty strong contingency, given that they are under contract for that.
Plus, I think if we would have the attorney review this, but I think one of the clauses in the code, it says without cost to the city. So there would have to be some language in there that said, even if there were overruns, they're still incumbent to pay the overage.
So we would be distributing funds to the contractor as it progresses. So obviously, we're gonna have expenses within the city. So those expenses would need to get passed on to the applicant.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair to put in there. So the process would be, the contractor would maybe do 25% of the project. He would call it in. Hanson Engineering would go out, review the invoice. They would
Check on the
come back
percentage
to staff
completion.
and say, engineer signs off on it. We think it's complete. Give it to Darla, myself. We'd look at it. We write the check. So the most of that expense is going to be your engineer going out and review it. And so I think that's a fair pass through.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably would be covered in the contingency amount that we're getting anyway.
I just want to make sure that,
But there is that, David, right? It's written to where there is no cost to the city, that we won't incur any cost.
is there any issues, like, can we be, since we're probably acting as like a liaison, are we liable for anything in this project?
We'll be indemnified
Okay.
for.
And that will be,
Roxanne will ensure that we're indemnified and held harmless, correct, Roxanne?
okay.
It is written and it will be written entirely in our favor.
Well, no, I want to make sure that, because I don't want us.
And we have turned down, I can tell you, we've turned down proposals because financial institutions, this is not in the least bit favorable for their clients. And they point that out, and our staff's position has been, we don't really care. It's not designed to be favorable for your clients. It's designed to be completely skewed in our favor. If we're doing this, then we're going to be completely covered and protected.
And so if the contractor screws up and TxDOT comes back and says it's wrong, we're not gonna,
We'll be
okay,
indemnified.
good. All right, just making sure.
We'll make sure that gets drawn up that.
Okay, all right.
And Rick, if we don't approve this, what happens?
They won't be in a position to record the plat. Correct.
until such time as, and
Is-
how long would that time be? Do you know, or does Daniel know?
End of August, it looked like according to the documents I
So it
read.
just
So it's only a few
postponing.
months.
Yeah.
The other reassuring part about this is that it's a significant part of the infrastructure, roads, utilities will already be in. And I'll point out that the Water District, again, is our partner. Obviously, they have a significant stake in the game. They did, again, we did talk with them and they have a signature block on the plat, so they would be substantially complete, so they have no objection to signing. So there's a lot of investment already done that's going to ensure that this, that kind of ensures it gets finished. Timing?
So it would delay our recording or ability to close lots, complete title work and all of that by anywhere from 30 to 60 days. So it's not saving us a lot of time to go through this, but because we've got buyers who are trying to close inside of the year 2022, and with November and December being relatively challenging months to do that with the holidays and then Christmas coming online, we're trying to get as much space to kind of make that happen towards the end of the year as we can. Presently, the contractor for the majority of phase 5 was under contract to complete by the end of July, but due to material delays and things like that, we're now seeing the 23rd of September, I think, or end of the third week of September as anticipated delivery. And that's for all of the infrastructure, utilities, lot grading, and everything that would be part of developing the lots in phase 5. And there's a separate contract on the box culvert work. Since it's a different utility expert that does that work right away and does the deep excavation and asphalt patching and all of that. So that box culvert delay, these two projects were recommended by the Hanson Engineering to be both required to be complete to record the phase 5 plat. We're going to complete the actual infrastructure within phase 5, that contract in its entirety, including the approvals from the city, walkthrough from Water District and all of that. It's only the box culvert portion that is being like funded for the purpose of trying to pull that date to align with September 23rd so that we can go ahead and file once we're normally qualified under it. So Water District isn't, usually they're not favorable on doing these because they like all their utilities in the ground. In this case, they'll have all their utilities in the ground.
So can you just walk me through this then? This would be, we would approve this, then they would come back and ask for plat approvals? Or the plat's been
They
approved?
would come back once Roxanne and David agree on the document itself, the final language.
Gotcha.
Then they would, once we got the money, then we would go ahead at that point and let them record the plat. And here's the last takeaway. Right now, typically for a developer like this, these lots are being carried with an inventory value, usually a 40% discount or more. Once they're closed and sold, once they get out of the hands of the developer, then they're taxable at market value. So
Okay.
I think there's probably and again, these particular lots, I suspect, are at the higher end, and there probably is going to be some tax benefits to us as a city.
Any
is my
concerns
speculation.
from the city attorney at all? Or are you okay with everything you see, Roxanne?
I noticed that they talked about TxDOT and Nueces County Water Control District. Number 4, asking for a delay in the construction as well, but I didn't see the actual request from them.
So, yeah, I don't have either of those. I could probably pull some notes and put those in writing, but this project had a really long lead time. Getting through the traffic control plan review with TxDOT took a very long time. They were requesting a almost 4,000 foot passing lane be added for a while, and eventually we worked with them and settled on traffic control devices. So they're going to use effectively temporary traffic lights to time and control like the construction in that area. It's a very short time frame that they're putting in the box culvert, 2 to 3 weeks total to have the road like removed, the box culvert put in and replaced. So we're trying to keep that period short, and they liked the plan with traffic control ultimately. But all of this was really planned to happen well before spring break of this year, but the traffic control portion took about 9 months to figure out with them.
I mean, we're not thinking of doing this in August, are we?
No, so the water district.
Right.
Yeah, once summer hit, it was like, okay, water district stepped in and TxDOT stepped in, and they were like, there's no way until after Labor Day.
Okay.
So that's the request, is that we can't start it until after Labor Day. And so that's also holding our ability to start, even if we did receive the box culvert now, we can't really do anything until after Labor Day. And we're still actually working with the water district to try to come up with a plan to avoid, usually with these, when you're crossing the road, there's other stuff in the road. So in this case, there's a 16-inch and 18-inch water line that were planned to be, they call it adjusted. So you basically deflect the water line around the box. In this case, we're dropping the box, so we're no longer going to have to do those deflections, which should help actually reduce the project cost a little bit. It's going to increase the excavation expense, so they start to offset each other, but that 100 or the additional 10% may actually be more in the end because of that adjustment. So,
All right, and we got gas line, we got
Yeah, there's a lot of
fiber
stuff out
optic. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
I'll
Do we need a
second.
motion?
All right, there's a first and a second. There's any further discussion? All right, Fran, please call the roll.
Chairperson Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, item I, discuss and take possible action to reaffirm, remove, or replace current members to serve on the City of Port Aransas Ad Hoc Comprehensive Plan Action Committee and setting an effective date.
Name is on this, but this isn't really,
Yeah,
this is more of a council discussion. and-
Yeah, it basically gives the newly appointed council members the ability to place their selection onto the CPAC board. And I think name-wise, I'm gonna need help with this, Fran, so Dale's seat would be Joan Holt, right?
Yes.
She appointed herself. Tanya's seat would be Rob Clark, right? Because it was Bruce
Yeah.
Clark. He
Yeah.
appointed Rob. Kelly's seat would be Tina, so that was Bobby. And then Wendy's seat it was appointed by Joan, right? Because who was it? Yeah. Who was that
She
one?
just appointed herself, but she.
No,
didn't-
but then she,
Mary-
she selected Cherie Stuns, but then
Oh.
Cherie had to back out
Oh.
and then it became Ed Reed.
Oh, that's what it was.
Okay, so basically you four get the right to make a selection.
Or keep our
You
selection.
could,
make a
you could
selection,
keep,
a selection,
keep, pass,
Keep in mind.
replace. Keep or replace.
I'm keeping.
Okay,
Yay.
I'd like to keep Rob Clark.
okay.
Kelly,
I'd like to add Tara Grumbles.
Okay, Tara. Rumble. Okay,
and I'd like to add Stephen Wilson.
Stephen. Wilson. All right,
Who'd you get?
keep Tara, Stephen. And they know that they're being selected.
Have they even
All right.
been?
We did discuss it.
Okay, good.
I mean,
Okay.
Stephen and I, I mean, not, I think everyone's,
Okay,
no surprise.
all right.
Could I ask that you just email me contact info for those if you have it?
Sure.
And I think there's a meeting coming up,
Yeah, next.
Next
the
Thursday.
28th.
6 o'clock.
All right, what's that item?
All right.
Okay.
Item J, discuss and take action on appointing board members to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And Chad Schmidas, this is your moment. And anybody else that is here as an applicant would also defer a moment to them if they want one, but Chad signed up, so he gets a moment.
So I have not been on planning and zoning commission for 10 years or whatever was said earlier. I've been there for 2 years. Most of the time that I've been there was a little shakeup at the beginning. I've served as your chairman. During that time, I voted strictly by city ordinance on due process items. And I've worked with staff to make sure that these were done right. But if it's a due process item that doesn't give us flexibility, I've always done the research and made sure that we follow the ordinances that we had in place. On our flexible unit, on our flexible items, I've always tried to at least be thoughtful about what's the best for our town. It's not always growth in one direction without risking something the other direction. I've tried to be very cerebral about everything that I voted for when we had that ability to do it. I've had an impeccable attendance record. If I missed a meeting, I don't recall when it was. I've scheduled family trips around things to make sure that I made the meetings. So with all that said, I'm not going to bore you guys. I would like to be reappointed. I would like to keep serving our town. And I hope you guys see it the same way. If not, I fully understand also. I'll go into other things, but I would like to continue in the role that I've been in. Thank you for the
Thank you.
consideration.
Thank you, Chad.
Admittedly, I'm going to skip out. My wife's been sitting we've been without kids for 2 weeks. And tonight's our last night. My wife's sitting at a restaurant waiting for me. So after we go through this part, I'm going to skeet out. But anyway, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Chad.
you.
Thanks, Chad. All right, I don't see anybody else. I recognize everybody else here, so I don't think that's it. So I guess we'll go into the item.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Commissioners Nicola Red, Chad Schmidas, Craig Scott, and Mike Dayon to their respective places for a 2-year term expiring in 2024. July 2024.
That's a 2-year.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Do we go through and choose who we want to be on here? That's what we usually do.
You can do it a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, we never.
But when
made
there's a motion on the
wholesale-
floor
Yeah.
and there's a second, you can vote for the motion or
Oh.
against the motion.
An
And if
entire
that,
slate.
depending on how it works, then we
Then we go on
make
to-
another motion
Okay.
or elsewhere. So there is a motion on the floor.
Gotcha.
Any other discussion? All right, Fran, take the roll, please.
Councilmember Krueger,
No.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
No.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
No.
Mayor Moore.
Yes. Okay, item K, discuss and take action on appointing board members to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals.
Asked to move those.
Oh, no.
Okay, okay.
Okay, on this one, there is what looks to be vacancies, people asking to be reappointed, and only one applicant. Does that make sense? I mean, that's what it says. Is that accurate? Because Tina's in here too. So Tina came late. So it looks to me like both Mallory Kaleha and Tina Grosclose are asking to be reappointed. We have their applications. So that can be discussed, make a motion, but then we still have a vacancy and I didn't see any other applicants unless
So
Mr. Paul Rudd.
Paul Ruff. Okay, that was the
that's
other
right.
person. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So then we could consider him for the vacancy position or one of the other positions as well, right?
he applied for
He applied
Nature
for
Preserve, but also,
Nature's Preserve and.
but he also, I said at the beginning there, he would serve in 2 other boards.
Oh, that's right. He applied for RDC.
Yeah.
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 Was it RDC? or
Nature
Nature
Preserve.
Nature
Nature
Preserve.
Preserve, Board of Appeals and P&Z.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't P and Z.
Or-
Board of Appeals and Nature Preserve.
Okay, Nature Preserve.
For what it's worth, I did catch Paul while he was in here
What would
and
you
just
prefer?
ask him,
about Board of Adjustments because we could use him there for sure.
Okay,
He did say absolutely. So that,
Okay.
just so you know.
It's great information. Okay,
And and on the BOA, if you're an alternate, you still sit and discuss. You just don't get a vote. Are any of these alternates?
doesn't appear to be.
No.
Oh, wait, well, there's one alternate vacant.
Yeah, but there's no.
Oh, there's three seats.
Yeah,
There's 3 seats.
Okay.
3 seats.
Mallory, Tina, and Paul
Paul,
can all
yeah.
be, okay.
So then I motion to approve those three. And we'll still have a
Yeah, and we'll keep working on that.
vacant position.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. Any other discussion? Fran, call the roll.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Seelow,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes,
Motion carried.
all right. So item L, discuss and take action on appointing board members to the Nature Preserve Technical Advisory Board. And looks like we have 3 spots, 2 seeking reappointment, and 1 we just placed on another board, and 1 not seeking reappointment. So it looks to me like we would fill the 3 spots with the 3 remaining applicants.
Is there 3 or just?
Yeah,
Well,
with
there's
Paul.
one that says no.
Well,
Oh, seeking
but can Paul be on both boards? That's my question. Would we put Paul on both boards?
You can
Serve
put
on
them on
the
both
advisory
boards.
board, but not another decision-making board, which would be planning and zoning. So
Oh,
he's
okay.
on the decision board already, Board of Adjustments and Appeals, and but he won't be able to serve on planning and zoning. There's a conflict.
Okay. So Rosario Martinez is seeking reappointment. Jace Tunnel is not. Kathleen Swanson is. The other 2 applicants were James Durkitz and Paul Ruff.
No,
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, just to be,
Any history on them or?
no,
And
but,
so-
well, okay, yeah, sorry.
So my board is a technical advisory board, so you don't have to be a voting member. It kind of says that here, so, or qualified voter in the city of Port Aransas, but we need to have 4 of those and 3 people that could have expertise and work for various organizations. So Rosario and Katie do not live in Port Aransas, but they work for the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries Program and UTMSI.
Mhm.
And they've been great. And so we need if they're reappointed, if you guys decide to have them, then we need a Port Aransas person as the other, which Paul
For
and
Jason's
Jeff,
spot.
or
Oh, because-
Paul and James are
Both live
are
here.
both
Yeah,
local.
no,
So,
That's
so-
awesome. Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to make that clear because they live in Corpus. So.
Who are the Corpus people?
Katie and Rosario.
Right, and those are our,
Technical.
those
Yeah.
are, and don't we have space for 3 technical? Or is
Uh,
another one that's not up a technical person? Jace?
Yeah,
Jason-
He's
off.
not, he's not reappointed.
But
Oh,
Scott-
he's, oh,
Scott-
that's right.
well,
Jace is up.
Yeah, Scott and Rick Tinnen and
Yeah,
Scott
yeah, he does.
Taylor.
Yeah.
But those are all
and,
locals,
so-
those Port A?
Yeah, so we,
Okay.
Okay, so you have Rick
pretty
Tenney.
much everybody on the board has technical expertise, but we need that 4 people that live in Port Aransas.
Okay,
Oh, right.
that's what you're really
Yeah.
seeking, okay.
So,
So James Durkett and Paul
Yeah.
Ruff would fit that bill, so we just have to choose one of them to. Yeah, okay.
I'd like to go ahead and nominate Rosario Martinez, Kathleen Swanson, and James Durkis.
Okay, there's a motion. Is
I'll
there,
second that.
okay. Any other discussion? Fran, call the roll.
Councilmember Seelow,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item M, discuss and take action on appointing board members to the Recreational Development Corporation. Okay, David, so this one's,
Fran.
Fran, a little trickier because we have some leaving council members and we need to replace with council members and we got to pick a chair and, you know, all kinds of other, which is next item, but
so
So there needs to be 3 citizens to serve on this board, and the remaining places will be council members. We did not get any citizens for this board. We did get Pam Green, sorry. Pam Green did apply for the citizen position, and we will need to replace 4, place 6, and 7 for city council.
Because number one, because 2 people are off city council, but because
Correct.
David's term is expired.
That's correct.
So David, are you seeking reappointment?
Why is your term next?
Because he filled a.
Oh,
He filled an
that.
unexpired
I gotcha,
position.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. So then technically we have David seeking reappointment for place 7. We have to fill 6 and 4. And then Pam Green is seeking one of the vacant
citizens-
spots.
Yes, the citizen position.
Okay.
One-
And no other applicants.
No other applicants.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be possible to move one of the previous council members to a citizen vacant spot, or would we have to get their permission first?
We would need them to apply. So yes, I would get their permission.
So maybe
first.
next month.
So yes, we can definitely do that next month.
Okay. All right. Does anyone want to entertain a motion to at least fill a vacant role?
I motion to approve Pam Green.
Okay. There a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Fran, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Seedahl,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That leaves 3.
Anybody want to consider a motion to reappoint Council Member David Seelow?
I'll make a motion to reappoint
Yeah.
Councilman David Seeloff.
I don't think I can second that.
Okay, all right.
Okay, there is a motion and a second. Any discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Seedahl,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
There's a little hesitation there on that
I
one.
don't know if I can vote on it. That was all. I was gonna abstain. but
Do we have one more to fill?
Now we have Bruce and
Yeah.
Joan. So we have 2 more.
And
So,
a vacant.
and then a
Bruce
vacant
and Joan,
citizen
then
we
a
can get
vacant.
later. So
Yeah.
Should we?
this is an important board, you guys. I think, I mean, the RDC is,
Yeah,
we have a lot of
Well,
projects
they'll
going on.
have a quorum, but
We have to have the budget.
yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
have enough to get a quorum because you've got 4 appointed, but if one of them misses, we're gonna have a budget problem.
So
Do
do
Yeah.
we need one more
Council person?
Actually,
Okay,
two.
2 more
You.
council.
You.
Yep.
Tanya.
Dale and Tanya.
Yeah.
Dale and Tanya. Dale?
There we go.
Dale,
Second.
make a
Was that
motion, put
seconded?
Dale.
Yeah, Kelly made a motion. Is there a second?
We only need
Second.
3, right?
Tim seconded. Any
Yeah.
discussion?
Nope.
Fran, call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Seedahl,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Krueger,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion
Okay, so that
carries.
gives us 6.
Now, do we need to make a motion for,
Yeah, because she's still good and Joellen's.
We're missing, we have that vacant spot.
This one got filled with
We need to
hands.
make
We just have
somebody-
that one.
Huh?
That we have.
No, we just feel like you put Dale in now. I vote.
No, I know, but to their point about the quorum is now we're not gonna have time to fill it probably before the budget, but they still have enough to make a quorum. So everybody has to show up to the meeting.
When is it?
Yeah.
We'll do-
Darla will tell you.
Yeah.
so it's
Carla, when is that meeting? I need
a
to.
meeting?
Email us.
We can, but.
What is it?
Typically, August
But-
4th.
but
August
still.
4th.
But we will, absolutely.
So now we need to.
Okay,
Great stuff. Dale.
we're gonna move on to item N, discuss and take action to appoint a chairman of the Recreational Development Corporation pursuant to Article 4, officers, Section 4.04, chairman of the board.
I nominate Tanya Chambers.
What section was it? 4,
Can I do that?
4 point what?
Yeah, but I have a,
404. Okay, all right, oh, yeah.
Chairman of the board. It was Bruce, I think.
Who was the last chairman?
Bruce,
Bruce.
Was it Bruce or was it,
It was Beth before that.
we nominated Bruce last time. I think.
And then it was Beth Owen,
oh, okay, chairman, but that's different than the RDC picking their chairperson.
vice chair.
Oh,
What's
We
that?
pick the chairman is what the charter says. We pick the chairman and they pick their other spots when they have their
Shall
meeting.
be the ranking legislative
I thought we put
officer.
Bruce there last time.
Yeah, ranking legislative officer of the corporation.
Oh, yeah, Tommy, that sounds like a
Big title.
yeah.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Just wait, no I'm kidding.
I mean, I agree. That was actually going to be my question on how that gets interpreted. So I read that as well, and I'm sorry, I know there's a motion on the floor, so we need to actually,
What was
Pursue
Francis
that.
Stokes' position?
He was chair.
Who's?
He was chair for a long time and he wasn't a legislative officer.
Right, so how was he chairman?
Well, legislative officer of the corporation, it doesn't say the council.
Oh,
okay.
It says
The-
of the corporation.
The chairman shall be appointed by the city council,
see, I thought we did that.
shall be chosen from among the directors and shall have the ranking.
So I bet the rank, when he
Oh,
was
so that's
hired-
how it was.
when
So,
he
so,
hired, you're-
yeah, so that's what it was. You don't have to select a council member to be your chairman of the board. It can be any, it can be any of them.
So
Because I don't think a council member has ever run RDC. Did she?
I thought we put Bruce on there last time for some reason.
When did Francis stop? He was on there forever. And then it was,
See, we don't even have those.
Then it was Susan.
oh, that's right. It was Beth for a while. Okay. So we have appointed,
So we don't have those other names.
well, they're gonna be, your only other names are Wendy Clark.
Right.
And
That's what I mean. It's just Wendy on here. And Joan, Jones.
So my question,
Wendy
We
would be
could put
good.
Wendy.
Now,
To
who's
that.
somebody that's been on there.
to the point of the paragraph, yeah,
Yes.
if it shall be a ranking legislative officer, does that mean longest term? I would think Wendy Clark, having served on it for long enough, would be.
Yeah,
Or
because
does
she
it-
is
Say
the
somebody
ranking,
that's
she is the
been on there
ranking
for a little
officer.
longer. Yeah.
Has she been on there longer than anyone?
Yes,
She came on.
Joellen, how long have you been on a year?
I
Was she
just
on
want
before
a
you?
year.
yeah, she was on.
Right, she was already on. so
She was
is-
already on and
on
then
the
Bruce.
20.
Yeah, so
Bruce-
she is the senior ranking member.
Well, we can do that. I need to
We need a motion.
make the other
Change her
motion.
motion. She made a motion for me.
Right.
She wants to
So I
change
think
it.
we act that,
Rescind your motion.
yeah, if there's is there a second to your previous motion?
Nope.
Okay, so motion failed. Is there a new motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Wendy Clark as the chairman of the board.
Where we
I
put Bruce
forgot.
last
Second.
for some
Okay.
reason.
So there is a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Okay. well
Is
then,
Wendy
Jane,
aware
are you
and
okay with-
okay with that?
Absolutely. I am.
All right, Frank, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Seelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Rickard,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes,
Mayor Moore.
Yes. Okay, item O, presentation and general discussion from Broadus and Associates on Hurricane Harbor recovery.
Hello, everyone. A couple updates since the budget hearing. The piers are still moving along. There's some engineering adjustments at the Roberts Point Park taking place, but don't see it affecting the schedule at all. Public safety demolition. As you can see, the design is now progressing, got red line, all those comments going back and forth, so that is moving along. The boardwalk up Charlie's pasture, we're doing the punch list, hoping to walk that through with the city at the 1st of August, so we can open that up here soon. Charlie's pasture bulkhead, they got the materials shipped in, so that is progressing. Gas is still scheduled after Labor Day. Couple updates, the drainage for the GLO, we are doing 2 phases due to the environmental permitting. So Jim Urban and our team is working closely with Royal to get that all ironed out. And then the Harbor Master Addendum 3 went out today, 48, 50 pages, quite a few
For the building.
items
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
Harbor Master's building, but it
So
did
that
go out
will-
on time.
Right, we pushed that bid, we pushed it back one more week to give the contractors another week. And I think, let me look at my
What was
calendar.
the last addendum that went out?
It didn't say the date in it, but
The deadline is the 28th of July.
Right.
And then we can, if we get our bids, if our bids look good, we'll bring you guys the bid at that August 4th budget meeting. We'll throw it up front so we can get it approved if the bids are good. So it's getting close. When we were out there, when I was at the harbor today, there's a lot of contractors walking around, measuring, taking pictures. So they're on it. Hopefully we'll get, 3 or 4 contractors giving us some good bids on this thing.
it's a good sign when you have that many questions and we're given that many answers. They're digging deep into the plans and
Do you
asking
know
the
how
right
many
questions.
are considering bidding on the project?
I know of 3 for sure that have
Okay.
pulled plans, so
Okay.
I'm expecting
At
3
least
for
3.
sure.
Okay.
And these are 3 that bid pretty consecutively.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the police department, I got a question here.
Okay.
I know we're going back with the same footprint, but as the city grows, do we have plans that,
Oh, it's a bigger footprint.
so is, but I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for future growth?
Yeah, it's.
I couldn't remember what
So
we
the,
discussed.
so the building is 12,500, but you got to remember, you're taking out
EMS.
3,500 square feet of EMS and giving that to our police. So I mean, they're.
But I mean, even further down.
And they're getting some of the 2,500 overage too. So the building goes from 10,000 to 12,500. So that's, the building itself is 2,500 square feet bigger. And then the EMS portion also goes to the police. So and it's being designed so that the southeast corner will be able to blow it out and expand it.
I couldn't remember
Yeah.
what was discussed, but I got thinking about,
Yeah.
future growth.
The Muni Court and JP Court was there as well, so is that gonna be back in there?
Yes, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's all,
So
it's all
that-
in there.
that goes
Yeah.
back in
Oh,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's not, I know, just curious.
Sorry, just,
Oh, yeah.
No. So that is 12.5, and that's part of the appeals, the
Okay.
EMS.
all right, just making,
Yes, sir. And that's the updates. Anybody have any questions?
you know what mine is. The old fire station. Have you heard anything back?
We have not. We actually we had our meeting, weekly meeting Wednesday. The task force lead for FEMA was absent and out with COVID. But we did send a email, to TDM management, asking for FEMA management to come give us just a no so we can move to the next step. So that email did go out. Juan Alanis from TDM recognized that email and has pushed it up the chain.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else for Mr. Doris?
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you. Item P, general discussion and possible action on conceptual bin and recycle program on the beach. Councilmember Seeloff and KPAP.
I will need to table this one as I haven't been able to close with KPAB before the meeting. So thank you.
All right. So to next month,
Yes.
hopefully. Okay, good. Good. All right, item Q, resolution authorizing the Port Aransas Volunteer Fire Department to purchase radios in the total amount of $57,847.37 from Daily Wells Communications through DIR Purchasing Cooperative. Funding from the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget capital outlay account 050 general fund capital outlay account number 60310, and authorizing the city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative of the city in all matters pertaining to said purchase.
So this is a budgeted item, but since it's over 50,000, we needed to bring it to council for approval. As you know, the police department has migrated to a new radio system. So this is the purchase for the actual radios to work with that upgrade. I know if you have any specific questions
I-
about the
I
radios,
do have a
James.
question if LT could come up, I guess. So I know that these radios are black, but a lot of fire departments like a brighter color such as yellow. Is that option available? And what is the cost? Is it going to slow up the process?
The radio that is, the quote you have in front of you tonight, that model only comes in black.
Okay.
If you want them to look at that, there is another cost to it. It's about $4,500 more. And you have to get to the next level of style of radio.
Okay. Just curious, just asking.
And I think the turnaround is going to be 90 days from the vendor for that feature.
All right, and so the fire department is okay with using black then?
Are you okay,
This-
Adam?
yes.
Okay.
That's a quote that was given to me
Well, no,
by the fire
I'm
department.
asking because a lot of fire departments do use
So, a few months
high
ago, so.
visibility yellow one, so.
No, I got those numbers today. They don't carry it in that model that we have ordered.
Okay.
And it was going to be an increase to the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right, great. Any other discussion? Graham, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Hart,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, item R, resolution awarding contract for disaster debris removal, reduction, disposal, and of other emergency services as the result of our request for proposal for the same. And authorizing city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative of the city in all matters pertaining to said contract.
Thank you, Mayor. So occasionally we have an event that may overwhelm our local resources to remove debris and damaged goods. And so it's good to have something in place that will help us in that very, 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 very remote instance. I went out with an RFP to basically update the somewhat dated contract we previously had. Received 4 submissions, wrote the RFP in such a manner that we could select actually more than one vendor. It's an as-needed contract, just an item cost, which means there's no cost to the city until we activate. Couple solid submissions, a couple probably were a little, we didn't feel comfortable to have the ability to do that. The review committee was David, myself, and Darla. We are recommending DRC, who was our contractor that got us through that other event. Again, they scored very well, heavily weighted on the experience and past performance. But we also are electing to choose a secondary vendor, TFR. Again, highly competent, capable company as well. They scored highly. They were the top 2 scoring. So that is our recommendation, is that we do offer contracts to both DRC and secondarily to TFR.
Those were some lengthy contracts.
Right, I know, right?
A lot of
And
contingencies.
this is good for 2 years, is that correct?
This will be good for 2 years. FEMA, it used to be we could do it longer. FEMA didn't like that. It's kind of, they want them fresh and current. So, and just as a side note, we'll be bringing back part of the other process. You got one guy removing the debris, but you got another company that oversees that, monitors every load, make sure the trucks are full, because we're charging FEMA for that.
And it's, yeah.
So that's called the monitoring, and I'll be bringing you an RFP selection for that hopefully next month.
And the cost isn't as big of a deal ranking wise, because FEMA will come in and say, we're paying for, we're going to give, $3,000 a load, and that's it. And so whether typically, isn't it correct, Michael, that gets adjusted on the fly by FEMA during?
Well, FEMA has schedules for that they have their limits, but then the more important part is that depending on impacted areas, the trucks you have and the resources you have with one vendor could command a higher price elsewhere. And performance contracts basically said they got to remove the debris, whether they do it with 10-yard trucks or the 40-yard monsters. So that's the one thing that that FEMA recognizes and we ran into that. Although FEMA sets those rates, they recognize that it's a competitive market when certain areas get impacted and they do allow us to adjust that. So we weigh real heavily on experience and capabilities.
They did great and Rick's right on target. The debris management plan requires y'all to do this, which helps with your cost share in future events. So it's a no-cost contract that's going to get you 100% funded for a minimum of 30 days in your debris operation. And both companies worked hard, and I would recommend them to any city that I worked with. They did outstanding jobs in two different ways, but TFR did the nature preserve for us, and we're very professional from Texas. DRC, I've been working with them since Katrina. They know what
They got it.
So, but you'd be foolish not to put this in place for the financial.
Sure.
Development, so.
I motion to approve that we accept both contracts as recommended by staff.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll
all
second.
right. Any other discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Chambers, Yes.
Councilmember Krieger,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Right. Item S, resolution authorizing the submission of the Texas General Land Office grant application for the state assistance in cleaning and maintaining 35,237 linear feet of public beaches abutting the Gulf of Mexico and located within the city's jurisdiction for fiscal year 2023. Approve equipment list and rate sheet for the fiscal year 2023 and authorizing the city manager to act as the executive officer and authorized representative in all matters pertaining to the participation in the said grant program.
So this is our annual grant we have through the GLO. They reimburse us about $118,000 a year for cleaning, maintaining the beach. And we're recommending approval.
How far does it go down? Is that the entire length of the beach in the city?
Entire length of the city.
Okay,
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Seeloff,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Oh,
Councilmember
Chambers.
Krieger,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Owen,
Yes.
Councilmember Park,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The
Right.
only thing that doesn't cover is the county section.
Right.
But we
But
contract
give them
with them separately.
Okay.
Yes,
We
But
have
it covers
100
all the way down to the city limits.
correct. Yes, sir.
we have 129,000 in our local agreement to clean the county.
Got it.
So we go then for that.
Well,
So-
since Seaweed stopped showing up. It's kind of a good deal.
Okay, item
It's offshore.
Say the word.
discussion, item T, discussion on proposed budget for fiscal year 2022, 2023.
We just put this item on here, post goals workshop, in case there was anything wanting to discuss. We still anticipate having our first meeting August the 4th. If everything goes as planned, if not, it would be Tuesday the 9th is when we think we could get it.
So we're still thinking
Thursday, we wanted to stay with the Thursday.
maybe July 22nd, we see numbers, but we really
Just
don't
tomorrow.
think so. Most likely, they're drop dead. The date that they're supposed to give it to us is
Monday,
Monday, the 25th.
but
From the
they do
county.
not necessarily have to give you all of the criteria that you need to calculate your rate, such as new construction that has sometimes had a few day lag. We're hopeful that, I haven't heard, a lot of times Ronnie will call and say, we're gonna have it, and I have not gotten a call that we're gonna have it, but I'm calling him in the morning just to see, hey, is there anything? So we're hopeful.
Okay, so we should make sure and everyone kind of clear their calendars for the 4th, August 4th, just to be
5 o'clock.
prepared.
Yeah, because that little stretch right there is crunch time for staff because we get that number and then we start building the budget on all the things from the goals workshop and we're prioritizing, getting everything ready for you guys. So we got about 10 days to hit it hard after we get those numbers.
I'm getting locked up next week and working on this only.
Okay, any other discussion on the budget? All right, item 9, city manager report. David?
Okay, two items to update you guys on. Port Street, we're looking great. We are ready to go out to bid. We will have the ad in the Jetty next week's edition. It'll run 15 days to the 17th. We'll open the bids at 3:00, and that will be an agenda item for you guys to approve on the 18th.
Awesome.
So you won't have a lot of review time, but we'll get the bids in the day before. I'll shoot them out to you. And we'll be able to award it on the 18th. The last little 3 items we finished up, we tweaked the circulation a little bit inside the parking. We finished the lighting. And the third item is and this is the one that's pending, but we can get it out to bid anyway. And that's working with AEP to get 2 of the poles moved because they're right in the middle of the driveways.
So does that bid still include like a little waiting, like?
Yeah. It's got a bus stop area in it and, the bus stop bench.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that,
yeah.
nothing's changed except what you
No,
just, okay.
yeah.
Awesome.
So it's ready and the ad will hit the paper next edition. Okay, update on Municipal Harbor Ramp. The signs are up. I was in Alaska for 2 weeks, so I'm not sure how that battle went while I was gone. Some people said, well, they showed up and then they left and they went to the boatman's and then something happened there. So I'm not really sure what happened at the boatman's, but the signs are up. We've had discussions with if we know how to ticket them. We know how to ticket anyone who violates the 20-minute, not just the jet ski people, but we have the ability, code enforcement or the police can ticket someone for the 20-minute violation. The on the water violation, which would be the hazard to navigation, we're working with the police on who potentially could do that. Is it, can your code enforcement officer do it? Is it best if the police do it? We reached out to Texas Parks and Wildlife, Ben Baker, to see if he could commit to giving us some more patrol time in the basin. So he's going to try to come up with some ideas to give us a little bit more help to where he can come over. We're also having some wake issues. Some people we've got a couple complaints that boats are moving too fast. Wakes are bouncing people around. So he can help us out with that too. So it's slowly progressing, and you heard the call today. So
Yeah, there was a second.
you're right.
Was it Texas Parks and Wildlife that had them, Tim, that day? Somebody had a hold of them and they
Oh, really?
were writing them a bunch.
On
of
the
tickets.
water or on
No,
the land?
They're on the land and they just pulled their jet skis out. So I don't know what happened, but they were.
Well, they probably did an inspection for fire
It might
extinguisher,
have been
whistle, flotation. I mean, they're just like a boat. They have to have a whistle, fire extinguisher, their boater's registration, first aid, a throw device. So they're gonna have
flares.
everything else.
You have to
Yeah,
have
flares, you
flares.
gotta have flares. So that's something that they could have been ticketed on.
It could have been because they were going through them pretty.
The other thing that anyone can be jet ski or someone who rents boats can be ticketed on, what was that term? Livery, which if you are a person that rents jet skis or boats, you have to meet a certain standard of, how much training are you giving that person? Is it 30 seconds or is it 5 minutes? Or
So.
there's some certain level that you're supposed to meet.
So were they able to rent a boat slip from the boatman's? I mean, I don't know.
When they came last month in June, they indicated that they have a boatman slip.
Oh, okay.
Now, whether or not within the boatman lease, it states that it's for, it kind of nails it down. It is a fishing vessel. It does not give someone the right to do sailboat tours or anything else like that. The boatman's dock is for fishing vessel charters.
But is it our job to police that, or is it the boatman's job?
It's
to
really the
police it?
boatman's job, I think, because the boatman would be risking their lease if the city, if they came to renew it and we said, hey, you're not meeting your, the
I've only
parameters of your
seen
lease.
them in there one day. So,
So it's a
That's a boatman's
it's a moving target. And
yeah,
it's,
okay.
Any other discussion on that item? David, any
No.
other? Thing in your manager report, okay. Staff reports, Darla?
So you have the written report in your packet. Been really busy this summer. Numbers are looking good. Our hotel motel tax is showing down 6% for the fiscal year to date. But there are still a few of the property managers that we haven't processed yet for April, and 2 for April and then a few for May. But
Why so long?
it's a lot of work right now because of the credit card processor. They finally sent our test payments. We're having to do the big property managers here. And when we're having to cross-reference for registration, et cetera, we're getting there. There's just 2 that are not finished for
Okay.
April.
So it's not that they're not paying, it's just processing to get it
Right.
through the system.
We have 2 checks that are sitting there
Okay,
trying to get in the system.
because it is I mean, it
Right.
looks really skewed, like
Right.
it makes you wonder. I mean, it's fine, it could be down.
But we're only down 6%.
Right,
Um,
so what do
and
you
that's
think realistically
through,
that number is up?
I think it's,
10%?
no, I think it's about even.
Okay.
We're only, the checks that I'm holding are right at 100. And we're at 3.8. This is about 4.2. I think we're right at even.
Which,
Mhm.
When it's the credit card, is that the registration or the actual tax?
It's both. The credit card processor that we're using right now is only letting them, when they're doing the tax, it's only letting them do 10 properties at a time because it only allows 30 lines. So if they're registering, they could do 30 properties at once in their cart, but when they're paying tax, they can only do 10 properties. And so they finally sent the test payments 2 days ago and they've not hit the bank yet.
Are they paying a convenience fee for using that credit card? Or are we absorb that?
No, we're
tax?
absorbing that.
So we're not getting 7% tax.
A little bit less. And they're, a lot of your bigger are using e-check, which
Which
is
we
going to
love.
have a
Yes, we use
process
that
too,
easy.
but.
They'll
Mhm.
load, And it
Mhm.
comes and you're done.
Mhm.
should we pass that fee to them? So
I think
get
we
the
should,
whole
because we
tax?
pay,
Yeah.
when I
And that's
pay,
tax.
yeah,
That's
when I pay
not
my
our,
sales
I mean,
tax through the state, if you can pay with credit card, but they're gonna charge a convenience fee.
yes.
In charge of convenience
They
fee,
do.
and we can always look at that and get that in our fee schedule and investigate what's allowed.
Can we get that in the fee schedule for the budget for incoming, but I mean, or just.
We
can
can
do
bring it
that
to you guys,
this
we
next
can bring
month?
it to you guys in August.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, we
It's
could get it
one
in
reading, it's
August.
a resolution.
Yeah, it's a resolution. It's not an ordinance.
okay.
For any of our fees. And we just have to work with them on how to administer that. Our sales tax for the month is, well, for the fiscal year is up 9% for the month, 13% for the fiscal year to date. Our harbor, our quarterly is up about 3.5% for the year. Our daily is down a tad. Golf carts are running about 12% up compared to where they were last year. And we are through with vanities, no more vanities for the year. We cut those off around the 1st of July because of, you have to have so many to order and get them printed. So anything the rest of the year is going to be a numbered plate. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Anybody have any other questions for Darla? Okay, thank you, Darla.
Jeez, Rick wants to get out of here.
He's not used to staying.
Yeah. All right, Rick, give us up.
All right, so you heard the red striping. Like I said, I can't tell you what a big asset Nathan's been and how helpful he's been. Short-term rental, so again, we've kind of hit that's point where we're not seeing the big numbers coming back through now. We're dealing with a couple of big property managers that were struggling to have them get registered. And we've reached the point now where we're starting to issue citations. They've had plenty of time. We've made it as easy as we possibly can. It is work for them. It is a heavy lift, but they're getting paid. We've tried to be a little bit patient with one of the larger ones because they were purchased. There's new owners. But again, our patience only goes so long. It's still a business. We still have, again, obviously we've got your directives and they just got to get it done. It's not our problem. They sold it. So we're being a lot less sympathetic now. So as of today, about 2,300 actually registered. We've got close to 200 in projects, Mirage, Pelican, Seaside that are still not available, but we know will be online. So that's 200. We still think there's several hundred that need to be included in this number. So like I said, but the registrations have kind of tapered off, and we expected that. Building permits. So as of today, 211 year to date. Comparison year to date, 2021, 117. So a pretty good number. Code enforcement citations, 91 written year to date. That number is going to, especially because of short-term rental registration, it's going to start to go up pretty dramatically. I think if we don't see some compliance there. Total permits for 2021, I gave you the year to date, year over year, 91. 211. Where have I lost here? 211 as opposed to 117. 211 over 117, 21, all of 2021, 274. So like I said, we still have a couple months left in 22. So I think we're going to be on track for probably a record year. That's, I think, the bulk of it. Any questions? Oh, the GovOS and the calls. Thank you for those that have either testing or intentionally needed to call. I've gotten some good feedback. It seems like the majority of the feedback is kind of skewing towards a better outcome than we had initially. So like I said, we're still monitoring, again, still working through it. But like I said, we still value the feedback. So like I said, thanks for chiming in for those that have worked. So.
Does GovOS have a list of all registered properties? Because I've called once, just curious. I've called and I've said, hey, this property, and they'll say, hey, that's not in our registration. And then they ask me to call the city.
So they're asking, so they don't know, I think when you get a telemarketer, I don't think they know unless you give them the registration number, which is what we ask as part of the script. Now, but
if there's no sign and so
then it's either way, it's a violation. So we've got to give some identifying,
so a citizen
characteristic.
should call the city at that point. Just
The hotline should register that. And like I said, by address or by whatever the complaint is, because they're all recorded. So they should still be able to, but they don't have but the problem is that they don't have, without that, they don't have a contact. There's nobody for them to contact. It could be registered, but they're still illegal by not having that information posted. So the hotline doesn't do any good. So I'll call us too.
The hotline will record the address number and report that to you.
Correct. We can get that recording of that call.
Okay.
Or just let us know, because like I said, one or two things, either they're registered without the sign, immediate violation, or they're not registered at
The
all.
phone call I made, the house was not registered, and you guys nabbed that one. That was good. We got some.
So did you call the city or was it directly?
I called the short-term.
The hotline?
The hotline, yes,
Okay.
because it was at 3 a.m. and anyway, that house ended up not being registered, so it's registered now.
We do like the idea, the council budget idea of a full-time STR employee.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So we think it'd go a long way.
Yeah.
So
There's
I have
plenty of work for that.
Yeah, and there's plenty of plenty of revenue potential. I think we're still out of municipalities that have the number of short-term rentals. Our registration fees pale in comparison to some.
So I know there's been a few glitches in the system where you're put in perpetual hold, or the scripting wasn't right, you get a generic answer, have those been resolved? And did they figure out?
We think they are until we hear otherwise. I mean, they've been very responsive.
Oh, no, I'm just asking.
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't that case initially, but there's such a huge, we're finding there's just a huge turnover and still consolidation with these tech companies and these software companies acquiring each other. But they seem to be staffed and they seem to be responsive to our concerns. So we still need them.
Well, no,
It's-
I mean, I was just, if,
Mhm.
are they fixing the problems?
It appears so.
Okay.
Like I said, so Councilman Seeloff had given us some positive comments on a couple of calls that he'd
Yeah,
had.
the last
So
time-
that's
the last
what we,
several times have been very positive, so.
yeah. so-
Again, that one that I had was just, I gave an address and they said, hey, they're not registered, you'll have to call the city. I'm like, well, I thought this was being all taken care of through them, so.
Yeah, and maybe we need to change the language so that, or the prompt, so that if they say, we do not have this address registered as a short-term rental, we will forward it to the city for further, so we
What
just
I'm
need to
getting
check our
at.
dialogue to make
Thank
sure
you.
it's.
That's
Rick,
what I-
are the citations that you're writing, are the owners getting them or whoever their contact or property management companies getting them?
We're in most instances to both the property owner and the property
So
managers.
the property owner is getting it, not their 24-hour.
Our feeling is that in the end, it's always the property owner that's responsible. And we feel that if we're hitting them, they're going to go to their property managers and ensure that they're getting what they're paying for, which is management of their property. And the same thing with the property manager. What we're finding is that we're really hammering hard on the 24/7 contact. To us, that's kind of the linchpin of the whole thing. If there's not somebody on the other end that can respond within the hour as required, we're already at a loss. And so I've told Carla, zero tolerance. If we get a call that nobody answers at 24/7, that's a citation. And we had one where, to show you that the violation was an HOA issue. It wasn't really anything we had control over, but they didn't answer the 24/7 number. And so they got a citation for an issue that wouldn't have ordinarily been one. But it's just important. That's just, they've got to be able to respond and take care of the business.
So do we have any stats yet, like on the calls, like, how many calls we've gotten? What kind, are they for noise? Are they for parking?
So we had 45, we've got 45 year to date. I do not, I'll get that for you, what they're, and I don't know that it's easily broken down. I'll try to see if I can get a sense as to how that, they just come in as complaints, and we try to go through as many as we can, just so we hear, and we hear kind of how the calls go. But I can probably break down the citations though, what those are.
I'd be
for.
interested to see kind of like what's coming
Let me
out.
see what we can pull out.
Did you say that you've only gotten 45 calls?
Year to date.
That's it? My gosh, I made half of those then.
Tanya made one of
them.
Tanya made one.
Okay,
We're keeping them going, aren't we?
speed dial.
Yeah, I think just still a lot of people don't know about.
Most people just got on the balcony and go, shut.
Hey,
Or I've
hey,
learned to flip my light switch off on that. Where's
my new domicile is in short-term rental hell. I am in the epicenter of short-term rental chaos. And so I have more than once picked up the phone, but I opted for the other. I said, turn it down.
Yeah, sometimes that does work.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
We need one of those big ears.
All right, Daniel Johnson.
You're up next. Make it quick.
It's gonna be quick, don't worry.
We're gonna do a drive-by, do a test tomorrow.
Yes, we are.
Okay, come get me.
All right. Calls are down just a little bit in June, but we're still up for the year to date. Transport's the same deal. They're down just a little bit, a little bit more refusals, but most of our calls are just random beach calls, and our lift assist, we're trying to get it under control. We have a few regulars that we've been dealing with a bunch, and we're trying to coach them in other ways than just calling us daily to go from the bedroom to the bathroom and back to the bedroom. So that's going on. As far as call numbers, you've got all that. We have had to use mutual aid a few more times. I've been over here 5 times this last month or in June. And that's just because of the way the calls are dropping. I mean, I worked Monday, first call went, 5 minutes later, second call went, we're gone. And we did that 3 times on Monday.
So it's just crazy. The hospitals are completely packed. We're parking in the street and standing in the hallways for an hour. So it's back to that deal. COVID's on the rise. Not necessarily us with transporting, but the hospitals are overwhelmed. So it's very, very busy. We have received our monitors, our IV pumps, our ventilators, a lot of our new stuff, everything that we had. Well,
There
guess
they
they're
go.
going again. Yeah, so,
Those numbers are about to go up now.
yeah, and so anyway, we've gotten all of our new equipment. We did in-service training last week. We had a rep come down and go through all of our ventilators and our monitors, so those should go on the truck probably at the beginning of the month. We're still waiting on one item to add on to it that was back ordered. Still having drug shortages, Epi and D50. So, and there's no sight of when they will come in. I know that the D50, they said it's looking to like mid-23.
Really?
So we'll have to do mixed drugs and IV bags to convert it to make what we need to make with, while we still have those supplies. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do when everything runs out. Other than that, we've been doing a lot of cross training with the lifeguards. We've gotten involved with them, helped them make all new medical packs, and we're doing training almost every Friday with them.
Good, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, getting them used to all of our equipment and doing, they're really getting up to speed, and they're enjoying it. You know, it's got a whole new morale booster over there, so that's awesome. And of course, we've had those 2 major fatality wrecks last month. So we halo flighted one, and we had a fatality in that one. And then on the other side of the highway, Tri-County picked up the one because it's technically in their jurisdiction. And then we.
Where was that one, Daniel?
It was right at the bridge.
By the mansion by the
Yeah,
sea.
Mansion by the sea.
Oh.
Yeah, like 3 in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Head on or?
Head on. So, other than that, that's all I've got. Any questions?
Good job.
Great
Thank
job.
you.
All right.
So we driving in tomorrow?
Oh, okay, we got Chief, LT, y'all gonna tag team it? Just, okay, just checking. Happy belated anniversary, big one. Way to go, you made it. Maybe I should congratulate your wife.
Condolences to her, congratulations to me. Our summers are busy, and so there's no other way to put it. We continue to be shorthanded. We picked up a couple officers last month, and we lost a couple officers last month, so we're still at 5 down right now. We're scheduling such that we have more officers during the weekend, and we're able to concentrate some officers on the highway for the golf cart speed enforcement on the weekends, not as much during the week. One of the things I thought interesting when I was putting this together is I tracked the golf cart violations, and when you look at moving violations, I know y'all get a lot of pushback. We get a lot of pushback that we're showing favoritism to the tourists. We're about 50% of our moving violations go to golf carts, and they're not anywhere near 50% of the vehicles on the street, although sometimes it seems like they may be more than that. So it's pretty even. We had the head on that Daniel talked about with the fatality. And we also had a 73-year-old that drowned earlier in the month. Who was down.
Did we ever
visiting.
get confirmation on?
It was we think he had a medical episode, but the official cause is going to be drowning. He had fluid in his lungs. So we think a medical episode led to that. Councilmember Park was talking about wanting to see those stats from the STRs. If you look at the report I provide you on the last 2 pages of your report, those are all the charges that are filed to the municipal court, and that includes those that are filed on behalf of the code enforcement officers, and you can kind of read down through there and see where those stats are falling also.
I appreciate the additional information.
Is that those last like 12 lines?
Yeah.
The ones that say
Yeah.
ordinance, yeah.
Right.
This is for June though. For the July 4th weekend, you wrote over 400 citations.
Yeah, I think we wrote 65 in one day on 361, so.
I do appreciate the continued golf cart patrols on 361 because I mean, that's just.
Well, and we're like you, that's our number one source of complaints, and we don't like to get the complaints any more than anybody else does.
Right.
But we're killing our guys because we're shorthanded, and every one of them's working 4 to 6, 8, 10 hours overtime a week, just trying to keep up with it. And that's just to cover our normal staffing levels without even putting additional officers on the highways.
I will tell you, the sign like going out by where
Right.
our businesses are, the sign there that says no golf carts on the highway. Every single day I see a golf cart pull up and make a U-turn and go back the other way. So those signs are working.
Yeah.
They are.
The
I saw
ones on
some-
the little feeder streets.
Yes, yes. Every day on that Avenue
Yeah.
J, I see it every single day. So I'm thankful for those signs. Cause I pulled up behind a golf cart and I thought, where are you gonna go? And I saw them point at the sign and I backed up and they made a U-turn and went the other way. So.
Well, and there's
Some
always
really
been a
did, some
speculation that if we do more stricter enforcement, that we'll see a reduction. And I think the harder we enforce, the more cars end up, it's just.
Yeah, but I do see it. So
Yeah,
that's-
I pulled
that
up to
helps.
Jay and you know how you have to kind of put your nose out there? Here comes a golf cart down the sidewalk and he stopped and he's looking at me. He's like, hey, you know, like, get out of my
Like, you're in the
way.
way.
And I'm like,
Hey, I'm trying to get to what.
you're gonna have to wait a second.
Yeah.
And I guess it looks like Alex and they're continue to do really good on the beach.
They're,
Oh, yeah.
and having
215.
that second enforcement officer will give us coverage every day.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so we'll have coverage 7 days a week then pretty much is what the plan is, and sir.
At least during the summer months.
During the summer months,
right, and,
It's 259.
clerk?
We haven't approved that other clerk yet, so.
I need to get that clerk.
So I know one of the things that's been brought to my attention by a bunch of citizens is the continual blocking of sidewalks by people, you know, like having too much, I guess, too many cars in their STR, but where they're literally blocking the sidewalk and you'd have to walk out in the street. Is that?
Have them call the police department.
Well, I know they are, but I mean, but are we?
Yeah, I've been working with LT on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that if you look in your stats there was like 16 or 17 citations written. 23 for golf carts on the sidewalks in this.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, chief. All right, last item, city council comments and items for future consideration. All right, we adjourned.
Before 9 o'clock.
You go through everything.